Hello, friends. It's Friday. Are you excited? Like the weekend is here and everything. And some of you might be expecting me to do In the Loop today because it's Friday. But no, today we are doing a special episode of Level Up Live. I am so thrilled to be joining you here. Thanks for so much for joining me live. And if you're catching me on replay, thank you so much for doing that as well. Truly appreciate it. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market updates. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends. Yes, I'm Winnie Sun, your host, an award-winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member and contributor as well. We are absolutely streaming here live, and it's just so nice to end the week with all of you. Thank you so much for joining us and tuning in. It's been such a busy week here. I just wanted to give in let you know what I've been dealing with. So I'm at my financial side of things. Well, we lost our amazing operations manager. He retired. And so we've been going through new hire interviews and whatnot. It's been crazy, but it's also really exciting that the quality of candidates have been coming in. So I don't know. Tell me what's been up in your life. Jump in, comments, come and say hello. Let me know how your week's been going. Hopefully, it's been going a little bit smoother and than mine. But I'm looking for the weekend. It's supposed to be here in Southern California, beautiful and sunny, and I don't know. Those are the days that we love, love, love. Well, let's let you know how the market is doing because the market hasn't closed yet. Won't be closed for a couple more hours, but unfortunately, kind of in the red. So it's been a very choppy week, very volatile week this week. But currently, the Dow is down 57 points. The Nasdaq is down about 200 points, down 198, and the S&P 500 is down 35 points as well. So unless things turn around, that we could end up in the red negative territory today. But don't let that ruin your weekend. I mean, weekends are important, right? It's a chance for you to recharge, have some fun, maybe go out to eat, maybe see some family and friends, make it very special. I love that. All right. So we've got some interesting news coming in this week. I thought I would share this with you. And one of the stories that has been making the news is coming from Rivian. Now, Rivian, many of you know, some of you maybe have seen a Rivian vehicle on the road near you. We have a lot of them here in Southern California. And sometimes at a quick glance, some people have said they kind of look like Teslas. Curious to see how you feel about that. But Rivian, yes, has definitely been making some impact in the electric vehicle market. And this was an article shared by CNBC, Michael Wayland, and talking about how Rivian is now also announcing brand new models. Remember how we just talked about Tesla this week, that whole roadster thing? Well, now Rivian is going to be introducing three new EV models. They call the R2, the R3, and R3X. R2D2 sounds familiar, right? But R2, R3, and R3X, they're trying to target a broader market. And of course, the company, though, does plan on pausing. They announced a pausing of their Georgia plant's construction. This is it. They're saying this is going to save them about $2 billion. But the R2 SUV is supposed to be launching in the future, but it's not going to be right away. This is almost like that Cybertruck truck kind of news where they kind of let you know early. Cybertruck being Teslas. You remember that, like, really unique, modern looking SUV. Well, I don't know that this is going to look like that, but in terms of timeline, it kind of reminds me of that, where Tesla gave us like early notice that this is coming in the future. Well, in this case, Rivian is telling us the R2 SUV is also coming in the future. Get this, launching in 2026. And this is the thing that they say. They say it's going to be launching for about $45,000, right? Hoping to make Rivian's EVs even more cost effective for more individuals and families. But that's the thing. See, I remember when Tesla told us about their Cybertruck, and it was supposed to be affordable, kind of a fun hybrid looking truck car thingy. But then it finally came out and the price was so much more expensive than the originally announced price. So hopefully, Rivian, for those of you who are watching, that if you're going to say 45,000 2026, I really do hope that it's actually 45,000 in 2026. Now, bear in mind, you can't control inflation. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, CEO RJ Scaringe reveals that R3 and R3X are going to be crossovers and also affordable alternatives to the current premium R1 series. Now, of course, Rivian is hoping to boost sales and really make things much more efficient, and of course, to compete against other electrical vehicles. And we know there's quite a bit of them occurring. Now, they're shifting also the R2 production to Illinois, and this is expected to save over $2 billion as well, and hopefully speed up its market entry so that we'll be able to have these vehicles, hopefully in our driveway or garages sooner rather than later. Now, the R2 is designed for that mid-size SUV segment, and they're promising over 300 miles of range and in a sub 3 second acceleration to 60 miles per hour, too, which, as we know, most electric vehicles are quite quick. So this is their sort of their new strategy to adapt and really focus on what today's customer is interested, right? Today's customer isn't interested just in that really high end, really expensive EV vehicle. You really want to tap into sort of that lower end or mid range area so more people can adopt this new technology and be able to drive these vehicles as well. And so the Biden administration has proposed, of course, to axe the credit for the first time home buyer at State of the Union address, but hopefully that EV tax credit continues for us and continues on, you know, longer so more people can get their vehicle, be more sustainable, help the planet, and obviously, spend less time at the gas pump. But that being said, charging an electric vehicle is not like the fastest situation. So they really need to figure out a way, I guess, to have more people to be able to charge these vehicles everywhere they are, especially at their homes, so they can charge overnight. That would be the goal. All right. So speaking of tax credits for home buyers, let's go to our next story. Okay. So Biden administration is having a new housing initiative. They're really hoping to boost new home purchases for first-time home buyers. Now, as you know, the Biden administration has been very, very active and busy and trying to relieve students of excess student debt, and then the Biden administration has also really been targeting junk fees and getting rid of like excess credit card fees and banking fees and things like that. Well, Biden administration now also wants to help first time home buyers, right? So this is an article that was recently published on the Washington Post by Rachel Siegel and Jeff Stein. It's a great one. So the talking about how President Joe Biden is announcing a new housing policy in the State of Union address that occurred, and aiming for first-time home buyers and really trying to be able to help people get into that market because we do know, especially what's happened with inflation in the last few years and the fact that interest rates have now come back up, right? They were really low during the early period of the pandemic, and now rates have gone up. And of course, the housing prices have gone up. And many areas of the United States, it's actually squeezed out the average first time home buyer. And this is becoming an issue because, you know, you're not really building equity, you're not building something for the future if you're forced to pay rent to help someone else pay their mortgage. So this new plan includes tax credits to mitigate those high mortgage rates for first-time home buyers and hoping to encourage the sale of starter homes in more neighborhoods. Now, the proposal is talking about offering $5,000 yearly for 2 years to middle class first time buyers, which effectively they say will reduce mortgage rates by 1.5 percentage points on those median homes. So the 1 year credit of up to $10,000 is being proposed for families selling starter homes below the median price in their country. or not their country, their county. I my mistake there. And of course, that makes sense, right? Because obviously, some like real estate here in Southern California is going to be priced differently than other parts of the United States, just like certain pockets like New York and San Francisco. So it couldn't be just like the median price in the United States. It would have to be county specific. So that makes perfect sense, right? So these initiatives are sort of an extension of Biden's efforts to increase home construction, and of course, I'm guessing more starter home construction, addressing sort of that high rents in many areas, especially here in Southern California. And I know Northern California as well, and New York, a lot of places. I think even like Texas, a lot of places are getting higher rents. And especially assisting in down payments as well, especially for first generation buyers. So, housing we know continues to be a pretty big problem. And in fact, the preservation of 2 million homes really are just trying to address that shortage and high prices. They're really trying to focus on new construction as well as keeping new construction, making sure that all these new constructions aren't just like $1 million houses, but that there's also houses that are reasonable for that first time home buyer as well. So we know that there's a national housing shortage. And of course, a lot of that was driven by the pandemic. And so, really talking about the shortage of affordable housing. So, this is what the Biden administration is targeting right now. So, we'll see if it's successful. But I thought I'd put that on your radar too, because I know a lot of you have reached out just saying, like, you know, we've been waiting to buy a home, and like, even the down payment is just getting bigger and bigger. Like, I don't know, like, when this is going to end. Will I ever be able to own a home? So hopefully this is some good news, and we'll definitely keep you updated as we learn more about that as well. And I want to say thank you so much, CrossX Fighter. Happy Friday to you, and thank you so much for your comment. And yeah, I'm doing great, and thank you so much for asking. All right, my last story of the day is also a big one. Now, you know, I'm just gonna put it out there. Have you thought about this? We were talking about this about a year ago about bank failures. And so you might be thinking, oh no, when he's talking about bank failures, is my bank the next one to fail? Well, I'm going to answer that question because there's been more talks about, turbulence and what's going on with New York Community Bank's recent challenges. This was an article that was shared by my friend Lori Konish at CNBC, talking about how the New York Community Bank has, yeah, experienced definitely some challenges, which has led to a 7% reduction in their deposits, and definitely a lot of concerned customers withdrew their funds from this bank. And a part of this is due to a significant 20% drop in the bank's share value. But Sheila Bair, she actually was in this article. She's a former FDIC chair. Now, she wanted to kind of put this in perspective for all of you. Even if you're not banking at this bank in New York, you might be thinking, well, I don't know if my bank's going to be okay. And so I thought I would share some of her comments pertaining to this particular case, because I think that'll put a perspective on where you bank and whether or not you're going to be okay, and maybe some things to think about to just make sure that you're okay, right? So, of course, there was a recent capital boost of over $1 billion. Um, so removing NYCB from immediate danger of failing. But nonetheless, let's talk about things for you to consider and pay attention to make sure that you're going to be okay. Now, one of the big things we know is FDIC insurance, right? Government insurance, right? Making sure that your money at the bank is protected. Now, currently, the amount is $250,000 per depositor per bank. Now, I want to answer also per title. So, for example, if you have, one in your name and then you have another bank account in your business name, then that would be considered two different titles as well. So you want to check with your bank to make sure that your accounts are FDIC insured. Now, if your deposits are below 250,000, you probably don't have too much to worry about as long as you're at a bank with FDIC insurance, right? So that's key. So this is usually sufficient for most households. And hopefully for those of you who are watching that, you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. That's great. But of course, due to economic downturns, uncertainty with interest rate movements, and things like that, a lot of smaller banks could be susceptible to some of these issues. So it's a good idea just to make sure you got the FDIC and you keep your balances below 250,000 on, per title. I think it's key because we do know that when this occurs, people will get worried and then they could do a bank run and it could cause like unnecessary financial stress for you. So that's something just to consider. Make sure you got the FDIC insurance, make sure your title is right. And that's another thing. If you have just a lot of money sitting at the bank, right? And let's say you're getting over 100,000. My question to you would be, why are you having so much in one particular bank account? Maybe you could put some in short-term CDs that are FDIC insured, like to increase your FDIC insurance. Maybe you could put it and invest some of it for longer financial goals. So consider this as just a checkup call. If you're getting to a point where you have a lot in your bank account, I would suggest meeting with a very experienced financial advisor and just to see if there's other options that might be available to you. So one thing to keep in mind though, if you have a small business and you have quite a bit of bank assets, that's really important for you to also check up on it because I know a lot of business accounts keep a lot of cash. So this is an opportunity for you to have a discussion with your bank, your private banker or your business banker, and just to make sure to be informed of how much of your cash is secure and insured, FDIC insured, you know. And maybe since it's Friday, don't worry about doing this today, but maybe do it next week. All right, sound good? Okay, good, good, good. Well, with that, let's take a look at the market. Currently, Dow is down 61 points, Nasdaq is down 195 still, and the S&P 500 is down 37 points as well. So still negative territory. I would say at this point, unless you need to sell today, don't worry about it. Just focus on other things and look forward to the next week, right? So thank you so much, my friends, for being a part of Level Up. I see so many of you joining me today. Whoa, one of the biggest days we've had in terms of live audience. So thank you so much for making the time. Do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe so you can stay up to date on our latest content. And that way you also get an update when we go live. And also to watch full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, definitely check out NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and other streaming platforms. And do me a favor, when you're sharing this online, make sure to tag at Winnie Sun so I can see your support and thank you on a future episode. And big shout out. I had so many people do this on social media this week. And so we're going to take a look and see if we can give you a shout out next week. And do me a favor. And also, if you're just doing a road trip this week or going to be in a car, check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun, which is our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you tune in on your podcast and the LinkedIn Podcast Network. Thank you. Be well. See you again next week. Have a beautiful weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.